Biters, killers, parasitic suckers, ugly, distasteful, sickening and squirming. There's no two ways about it. Flies disgust us. They bite us in our sleep, contaminate our food and spread diseases. But love them or loathe them, flies have vital roles to play. So become a fly on the wall as secret nature spies on incredible flies. Flies. Theirs is a world of plague and pestilence, intrigue and mystery, sex and competition. To a long-headed fly, the hoofprint of a cow is an arena of gladiatorial scale. What's chaos to us is a romantic ballet to the eyes of a fly. It's a dance for territory and mate. We can best appreciate flies by exploring the diversity that lives in just one place. There can be over 6,000 different species of fly in one English farmyard. To them, the farmyard is heaven, a utopia where each can go about its individual task, scavenging, ravaging, sucking and biting, clustering, festering, mating and fighting. They're pests and parasites, disposal teams and carriers of disease, pollinators and prey. They're beautiful, bizarre, and they're sometimes deadly. While a world without flies and mosquitoes might seem like paradise, many of the 120,000 species play a useful role and would be hard to replace. Physically, they can look very different, but they're all variations on a theme. So what makes a fly a fly? This is no damsel in disguise. This no bee, and that's no wasp. Perhaps this is more like it, but flies that look like flies make up only a third of all fly species. All flies have one thing in common. They only have one pair of wings. Biologists call them diptera. That's Greek for two wings. You can see the difference here. Butterflies may share the fly name, but they clearly have four separate wings. And it may be an insect that flies, but it's not a fly at all. True flies have replaced their second wings with a pair of beads on stalks. They're known as halteres and are used for balance. Like it or not, we can't live without flies. A farm provides flies with a wide range of places to live. And every trip to the compost heap cements the bond between them and us. Attracted by scent, the housefly sets about the task it's designed for. Eggs laid in rotting matter become maggots, fly larvae, the architects of decay. Helped by bacteria, fungi, insects and worms, they consume the warm, putrid mountain. One adult fly can lay 1,000 eggs. After 11 days, that creates 1,000 more adults. And if left unchecked, in just 6 weeks you could find yourself surrounded by 250 million squirming maggots. After 10 days of feeding, the maggot's skin hardens into what's known as a pupa. Inside, what is little more than a soup of nutrients and cells is changing into an adult housefly. By inflating a special sac on its head called a telemum, the virgin fly emerges. This is the only time the sac will ever be used. Once emerged, and with its wings fully expanded, the housefly often sets out for human homes. And this is where the trouble starts. What's good for compost is bad for the kitchen. There's nothing savoury about a fly walking over our food, particularly if its last steps were on farmyard dung. And the way they eat is revolting. They vomit their stomach juices over our food and suck up the slime. Every breath they take spreads disease, and every move they make leaves toxic footprints. So we attempt to fight back, catching flies by exploiting their appetite for sweetness. Fly papers a slow, sticky death, but faced with the fly's prolific powers of reproduction, it's a battle that's hard to win. Houseflies were successful long before houses or even humans existed. But they've benefited greatly from our homes and our way of life. They've benefited from our husbandry of animals too. And flies can be deadly. The farmyard is the front line in the war against them. To win this war, we need to employ sophisticated weaponry. Luckily, flies find ultraviolet light even more attractive than your average pig. They're seduced to a light on a double-barred metal grill. Touch bar 1, nothing. Touch bar 2, it's farewell. It's a shocking, electrifying death, but killing a few flies isn't going to dent the population. Pig manure is a fantastic place for a fly to raise its family. They can soon reach plague proportions. Ingenuity is needed, and chemical weapons can win this battle. Sexual attraction is the clue to being successful. To a male fly, this insecticide smells just like a mate, but it's a deadly liaison. With no males available, the females can't breed, and in time, their numbers diminish. It's a task that will never end, but where there's life, there will always be flies. Whenever we try to harness nature, flies are there to thwart us. The cabbage root fly once survived on the small wild ancestors of cabbages and cauliflowers. But as we cultivated these plants, we unwittingly cultivated the flies. This female is attracted by the mustard oils of a cabbage far larger than her ancestors ever knew. Using her sensitive, extendable ovipositor, she selects a crevice for her eggs with care. Each egg is no more than 1 millimeter long, but in just a few days, the eggs hatch. Maggots enter the stem just below soil level. Pulled along by a hooked mouth, they tear into the tissues and suck up pulp. It takes just one maggot to fell an entire plant, but they feed only on the base of the stem, slicing the cabbage clean in two. The rest is left to rot and to the mercy of other pests. But flies also help us. In a field of oilseed rape, they pollinate more flowers than a whole hive of bees. But there's a catch. Just as the rapeseed pods are ripening, a villain emerges from the soil. This is the Brassica podmidge. The farmer must stay one step ahead. The fine spray is lethal to many insects. But inevitably, some of the podmidges survive and begin to lay their eggs within the ripening seed pods. For the farmer, timing is everything. Spray too early or too late, and the eggs hatch into larvae with a voracious appetite, not for the rape seeds, but for the walls of the pods that enclose them. The damaged pods split open, and the seeds are lost. The larvae now spill to the ground, where they pupate quickly into the next generation of adults, primed to lay more eggs and attack the crop for a second time in 1 year. So if the farmers can effectively destroy the first generation of midges, they protect their crops year-round. A peaceful, rural scene. But there's something very nasty out there. Not long ago, half this herd were weak, thin and sickly. And this was why. The larvae of the gadfly or warble, a true horror of the insect world. Hatching from eggs laid on the cattle's hide, they burrow beneath the skin to eat the flesh. The hide is ruined, and the cattle sicken as the parasites burrow through their skin. And watch out, there's even a warble that'll burrow into you. So now there's a price on the head of the flies. The good news is, we're winning the war of the warble. It's now a rarity in the developed world. Cows are factories that turn grass into milk and flesh, and the waste into cow pats, but it's alive with flies. These are dung flies. If you're a male dung fly, you need to hang on to your partner for dear life. The last one to mate gets to be the father. That's why each male takes great care to ensure that no other male can interfere before the eggs are laid. On a fresh cow pat, the bachelors stand watching and waiting for a bride. They're not fussy about looks and when she turns up. Neither are they subtle about introductions. The lucky male carries his mate into the grass, away from competition. Trouble starts when the happy couple return to lay their eggs. There's murder on this dance floor as the expectant father protects his partner. Slow motion shows how he uses legs and wings to guard his female. All the rival has to do is insert a leg between the pair to prise them apart. well-placed kick is the only defence. As the female begins to lay, the scuffles come to an end. The competing males know the game is over and begin to look for another target. The female loses all attraction. Some males may jump on her for a moment, but they release her at once. She can move off unmolested until she's ready to mate again. Foreplay is definitely not part of the dungfly's sexual repertoire. Almost before a cowpat has hit the ground, a hoverfly called ringier is on the scene. She first inspects the blades of grass around the dung. She'll lay her eggs on a blade that hangs directly above the soft, hot, fresh cowpat. Many females compete for a prime spot on the blade, which is soon egg-bound. The eggs must hatch within 24 hours, or the larvae won't be able to penetrate the hard crust of the cowpat below. Larvae shower the dung like rice at a wedding. They're amongst the first at the feast. It's crucial. There's a rat race of flies competing to get busy recycling the dung. And while the larvae are feeding, the mother ringier is back pollinating flowers and eating sweet nectar. Most flies are harmless, but a few pretend to be something they're not. They're sheep in wolves' clothing. Whilst they look like wasps, there's no sting in the tail. They fly with unrivaled precision to fertilize flowers and feed on nectar or pollen. This one's our ally, and an aphid's worst enemy, the beautiful hoverfly. It's emerged from a cocoon on a nettle. Aphids are great at increasing their numbers, mothers producing young aphids every day, by virgin birth. It's a tide of thirsty sapsuckers that make ideal food for a predator. What's beauty as an adult pollinating the flowers is beast as a larva. This is the larva of a hoverfly, and it moves through the nettles in search of prey. It grabs its victims with a pair of sharp pincers, puncturing the flesh with precision-made mouthparts and sucking the juicy body dry. But aphids have their defences, secreting sticky globules of sap to bung up the pincers. The hoverfly larva counters this by lifting the aphid into the air, and the glue is out of reach. In time, the predatory larva will change into this, the adult hoverfly. and beauty will fall prey to another beast. But remarkably, there's even a fly that exploits the spider's web, stealing the prey for itself. Many flies resemble other creatures as a form of defence. This one mimics a honeybee drone, hence its name, dronefly. Its lifestyle is quite different to that of the house or hoverfly. The adult dronefly, like the bees it mimics, feeds on sweet nectar. Its young, however, prefer something much less savoury. The adult female extends her ovipositor into a cocktail of manure, hiding her eggs beside the pungent brew. Pied wagtails know that the droneflies come here to lay, so all they need to do is stand with their mouths open and swallow. The eggs hatch and head for the nearest stagnant pool of liquid manure. Few predators would worry them there. They're brilliantly adapted to thrive in this pungent, airless world. They've got a snorkel, a hollow, extendable tail or siphon. It's extended from their rear end to the surface when they need to breathe. It looks like a rat's tail, so they're called, rather unimaginatively, rat-tailed maggots. While submerged, hairs at the tip of the tail are held tightly shut by water tension, preventing the grubs from drowning. As they break the surface, the hairs splay out and air is breathed in. Gills also help them breathe, but with little oxygen in this toxic broth, it's a lot more effective to use a snorkel. Like all larvae, at some stage these maggots must pupate. They do this out of water, where they continue to breathe through horns on their heads. Finally, the dronefly slips out. It pumps blood into its wings, antennae and ovipositor as fast as possible. It's a matter of life and death. Wagtails are ready and waiting. Its body darkens, and it takes on the disguise of a honeybee. And the dronefly adult heads off to feed on nectar. Flies love horses, but the flowing, twitching tail of the horse has evolved into a very effective fly swatter. It discourages a whole host of aerial irritants. The botfly finds its potential victim using scent. It doesn't bite the horse, it's got something much more gruesome in store. It starts by gluing eggs to the animal's hair, somewhere in easy licking range of the horse's head. Let's see that again. The front legs are a good bet. A careful owner removes the eggs and thwarts the botfly's plan. But some eggs remain where they are, and within a week or two the horse will lick its legs. In response to chemicals in the saliva, the eggs hatch, are swallowed, and find themselves in their own private cafeteria, the horse's stomach. There they tap into a blood vessel and begin to feed. Here they'll remain, safe and snug for the next 10 months, before emerging in the dung next summer as larvae, burrowing into the ground and forming pupae. Soon they'll become adults, ready to join others already annoying their host, the horse. This is an efficient parasite. The horse suffers few side effects, and the larvae benefit from a safe, warm winter home and plenty of food. And as the pupae hatch from the dung, the next generation of adults are sure to find a horse nearby. These black flies are bloodsuckers with sharp, piercing mouthparts. Their stripes identify them as flies that usually feed on horses, but many bite us too. Like mosquitoes, only the females suck blood. Blood is a nourishing food. It's full of protein and an essential nutrient for the fly's developing eggs. But they don't bet their future on a horse. Once the adult fly has feasted on blood, she heads for the nearest fast-flowing river to lay her eggs on weed, like this water crowfoot. The larva doesn't waste energy looking for food. It waits for the current to deliver nutrients to its filtering mouth brushes. It remains attached thanks to a pair of hooks at each end of its body. Moving in the current is precarious work, but its grappling hooks enable it to loop along the weed without being swept away. When the time is right, the larva chooses a place to spin a silk cocoon. Silk is a remarkable protein. It hardens on contact with water and doesn't dissolve. The cocoon is hollow and open at one end like a sock. Inside, the larva undresses and becomes a pupa. Like the larva, it must breathe underwater with the aid of gill-like filaments. When it's ready to emerge, the pupa inflates the cocoon with oxygen to split it, and like a diver emerging from a submarine, the adult slips out in a bubble of gas. The bubble breaks the water's surface, and the adult joins a cloud of its fellow black flies. It mates and heads off to find a horse to bite. A simple but brutally effective lifestyle. Flies' lives are played out on a very different timescale to ours. To them, the hoofprints of a cow are a place where life's battles can be fought. It's a gladiatorial arena used to fight rivals and impress your mate, and a territory worth defending. The females are drab compared to the males, who dress to impress. To the untrained eye, it all looks chaotic. The males dart around the females. It seems random, but to the flies, there's order. A dogfight ensues. The victor returns to dazzle his partner once more with his strength and splendour. Slow the action down, and we see an elaborately choreographed ballet. First, the male approaches from behind, swinging from side to side to show off his wings. Then, in a display of aerial mastery, he impresses the female with a low swoop past her head. And then they mate. We can only fully appreciate the frenetic world of the fly when we view it on their scale. Flies can live almost anywhere. Even this soup of decaying waste can be called home. The flies that live here are bloodworms, the larvae of chironomids, the murmuring midges that don't bite. They're coloured with haemoglobin, the same pigment that makes our blood red. It's a protein that carries oxygen through the body. In this oxygen-depleted environment, haemoglobin is crucial. The bloodworms need to extract every molecule they can to survive. On their way to becoming a midge, they pass a pupal stage that's unusual in that it can swim. If you're a pupal midge, being mobile is essential. You need to get to the surface when you're ready to emerge as an adult midge. And you need to be able to escape from predators. But this hungry beetle larva moves in too quickly. One down, but one got away. There are predatory fly larvae in the water too. Ghost midge larvae wait to attack water fleas with their unique hooked mouthparts. Horns on their heads enable them to breathe when on the surface. Wide sacs of air at each end of the body help keep it horizontal in the water. Transparent and almost totally invisible, these are ghost or phantom larvae. As they age, they get darker. The pupa ascends, and an adult ghost midge emerges into the night air. If you hear this sound in the night, you know you're under attack. It's the female Anopheles mosquito, the most effective killer on the planet and the carrier of malaria and other fatal diseases. It's the deadliest of all flies, if not of all creatures on Earth. It doesn't need to see you to find you. An arsenal of sophisticated sensors will track you down. Heat-sensing infrared receptors and CO2-sensitive antennae mean it can literally smell your breath. It's a trail the killer follows to locate its target. 2 pairs of serrated stylets slice through your skin to pierce a capillary and suck your blood. Before it feeds, it injects special saliva into the wound to stop your blood from clotting, and with the saliva come deadly parasites. Mosquitoes have killed more than half the people that have ever lived, and they continue to do so. She leaves you with the itch and goes off to lay her eggs. They're laid on water in tree hollows and pools. The larvae soon emerge and scavenge quickly. The pool may be short-lived. These Anopheles mosquito larvae lay flat against the water surface, taking in air through 2 pores called spiracles on their backs. The larvae of the Thylacine mosquito are very different and much more common. They develop from rafts of eggs laid onto the surface of the water of more permanent ponds. The Thylacine larva is known as a wriggler. On the surface it breathes air through its tube-like tail and scavenges food using brushes by its mouth. After shedding its skin 3 times, growing and mutating in the process, the larva is ready to pupate. Two horns are formed on the head of the pupa. These access the air it breathes. Eventually, it's time for the adult mosquito to break free. It rests on the water surface, expanding and drying its wings. Then it heads off to join millions of other insects drifting on the wind, all in search of a meal, a mate, or both. With such a diversity of flies, it's no surprise that predators patrol the skies of this farmyard paradise. Swifts feed on swarms of flies invisible to the human eye. The birds have returned to breed, having spent the winter feeding in Africa. In the nest, the tables are turned. There's a fly patiently waiting to feed on the swift. The louse fly. Their wings are small and useless. But like mosquitoes, they're blood-sucking vampires. Their feet are modified into claws with suction pads that cling onto feathers and skin. They're hitchhikers who have forsaken flight to become stowaways amongst feathers. Swifts, martins and swallows all have their own species of lousefly, picked up as they investigate old nest sites and carried to new homes. Although each bird may host several flies, they appear not to harm their health. But why the birds don't remove them is a mystery. Surely they must be a discomfort, scurrying around next to their skin. As the season progresses, the number of louseflies that can be found on the swifts dwindles. The males probably die while the females are busy in the bird's nest. The female lousefly doesn't lay eggs. Instead, they develop within her body, and she gives birth to fully developed larvae, one at a time, that immediately form into a pupa. By autumn, the young swifts are ready for their flight south. The flies wouldn't survive such a long journey, so they remain in the nest, their lives on hold. The following spring, when the swifts return, a new generation of louseflies will be waiting and hungry for blood. Many flies are inactive in winter. Like louseflies, autumn prompts cluster flies to seek shelter in buildings. They're a welcome feast for spiders and bats. Bats have a great appetite for flies. The excreta or guano that accumulates beneath their roost often consists of fragments of fly skeletons and little else. Flies may revolt us, but there's another way of seeing them. Not as agents of death, but as insects on the side of the angels. The next time you spot a green bottle hanging on your wall, or a blue bottle hanging on your window, remember that they and the flesh fly have vital jobs to undertake. The world would be smothered in corpses were it not for nature's gravediggers. So diligent are these undertakers that they can be easily duped. The stinkhorn fungus unwraps its phallic-shaped horn at night. The tip is packed with spores and coated with a juicy secretion that stinks of rotting flesh. To flies, it's irresistible. They come to lay their eggs, but also find a delicious meal on offer. The sugary slime is easily sucked up by the fly. This is in the fungus' interests. Although some of the spores are eaten, others stick to the fly's legs, feet and body. Next time it lands, it will leave a spore-laden footprint, a pug mark spreading the stinkhorns far and wide. The attraction of rotting flesh to the fly has also been exploited by plants. On an island off Sardinia, the arum lily's flowers reek of decay. Flies enter the bloom to lay their eggs, but are trapped by downward pointing hairs. As they feed on nectar, they pass on pollen from other plants. The flower's impression of rotting flesh is so convincing that some flies even lay eggs. But the maggots will die. There's no meat for them to feed on here. The flies are kept prisoner until the male part of the flower ripens and showers them in pollen. The flower's hairs now wither, and the flies are set free to distribute pollen to other blooms and complete the kidnapper's plan. Humans have also learnt to exploit the fly. To the fisherman, the fly is an ally. It's big business. Blowfly maggots are harvested in their billions to be sold to anglers as gozzers, pinkies and squats, an irresistible snack for any fish. To those in the know, gozzers are the maggots of blue bottles, pinkies are green bottles, and squats are houseflies. They're hand-reared with care for sportsmen who demand the best. The maggots are attached to the hook without puncturing the grub's fluid-filled body. With fishing growing in popularity across the world, the fecundity of the fly has been turned into a lucrative industry. $250 million pupae, 250 million produced in 6 weeks from just 2 flies, assuming there are no passing birds to feed on them. Quick to breed, light to carry, cheap and expendable. It's no surprise that flies are being exploited worldwide. The scientific term for a group of flies is a business, and there's no business like this. Just consider, if a pair of houseflies were left alone and all their offspring bred, by the end of just 1 summer there'd be a mound of maggots 6 stories high covering the area of Germany. They're a vital source of food. They underpin the world's food chains, and we couldn't live without them. This is fly power in action. On the flower heads of onions, industrial flies, freshly hatched and cleaned, are set to work. This is what they do naturally, feeding on pollen and nectar. It's a full-time job for the males. It's only the females that take time out to lay eggs. Successful pollination is essential when breeding plants on a commercial scale. And flies could show the bees a thing or two when it comes to cross-pollination in enclosures. Flies are everywhere. They make up 1/4 of all insects, and most of us think of them as an enemy. It's true, they threaten our livestock and spread disease. Each housefly carries 3 million bacteria, and there's proof that since the Stone Age, the mosquito has caused 50% of all human deaths. Even today, the malaria mosquito kills 1 person every 10 seconds. But we still need flies. They have important roles to play. They dispose of rotting bodies and even recycle dung. As pollinators, they could replace bees. Their larvae form the front line in pest control. Without flies, 1 aphid in 1 year could smother the world with a carpet of bugs 150 kilometers deep. So humans must learn to live with flies, and we might even learn from them. The muscles that control their wings are the fastest in nature. They can hover, rotate, fly backwards and upside down, and with reactions 10 times faster than our own, you do the maths. Flies make us squirm. They spread disease, eat our food, and bite us in our sleep. But they've been doing so for thousands of years. There's been a fly on our wall since civilization began, and we still rely on them. They're incredible, but we're only just learning their secrets. Without flies, one aphid in 1 year could smother the world with a carpet of bugs 93 miles deep. Each egg is no more than 1/20th of an inch long.